3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast. Thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. In space, no one can hear you scream. They may not hear you laugh either. What's up, Smackheads, and welcome to a bonus episode of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast, where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. Woo, and it's a special one today, a whole bonus episode.
Yeah, and when you say we watch every episode, we're not kidding.
Nope, we did it.
So we decided, I'm going to throw Blake under the bus. I will say Blake decided that halfway through our run of rewatching the UK version of Red Dwarf that we would take a break and watch the 2 U.S. Pilots of the show. So if you haven't watched them, please go into our show notes or go on to YouTube and find them. They are both there. They are horrendous quality, but I've linked them on our Instagram page. I'll link them in the show notes, please.
It's rough, but the quality video is rough, but you get the idea. You get the idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something rare. I did suggest this, and I stand by it because I'm excited about this conversation. I had a whole different viewpoint of watching this show, but I would just like the listeners at home to know that right now, recording this episode is brought to you by Anger's Oktoberfest beer because I'm going to need myself a half liter of something delicious to wash as a chaser for this effort to make a USA version of the Red Dwarf. Oh, it's going to be good too.
I hope so, because something's got to make getting through this bearable.
Well, I had a very Red Dwarf day. I sent you a text earlier. I went to one of my favorite breakfast joints, and they're having a special this week where they're doing like Indian infused versions of breakfast. So I got a chicken vindaloo omelet.
You actually bought it. Good. You actually got it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how was it?
I got the butter chicken hash is actually what I ended up getting. Nice and spicy, and it was quite good.
I feel like I let the team down this weekend, Blake, because I haven't told you this either. So I live up in the north of England, somewhere near a town called Middlesbrough. I'm not going to give my exact location away, but Middlesbrough Comic Con was going on this past weekend at the Middlesbrough Sports Village. And in attendance was Danny John Jules, Hetty Hayridge, and I should remember her name. I can't. The woman who played Kachansky moving forward. Spoilers if you haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, they were in attendance.
We'll get to her.
And I feel like I should have been there, but I couldn't be bothered, in all honesty.
Yeah, you needed to be there in like a shirt of our show.
It would have been amazing. Yeah, I was sort of like, I've complained that we should have been going to things like this, and then there's literally one on my doorstep that I could have gone to. But I'll be honest, I've been kind of... we're going off on tangents. I think COVID is doing a revenge mission around our area at the moment, and I think that's what I've had for the past couple of weeks, so I've been kind of laid up.
3 weeks ago, I finally shook off a cough that had lasted for 10 days, and I tend to agree with you.
So I was a bit ropey, and it probably wouldn't have been in everyone's best interest if I had have gone to a Comic-Con anyway. But anyway. Well,
I got my half liter of this Oktoberfest beer ready to go to talk about this episode. So I said, was it like the first episode that I threw out? Hey, at some point, when did I throw out? Like
I honestly don't remember.
When we get through Series 6, because they actually did this pilot just after Series 5. When we get through Series 6, since it's kind of the end of one era of Red Dwarf, a continually every year sort of, series, we should take a look at the pilot then. Because I remember, and I had remembered watching it, but I didn't, I did not remember a lot of it.
This is the first time I've watched it at all.
Well, I'm super glad we did this, to be honest. I had quite an interesting, experience watching this.
Because it made you appreciate the UK one so much more.
There's the light. Look, before we get any further, the UK version, especially for the first 6 series, there is just a lightning in a bottle effect of the cast, of the choice of changes, like bringing in Crichton and stuff. I mean, they're just, like, it's just a lightning in a bottle. So you can't replicate that. And I was going into this going, man, why did I do this to myself? But we're going to watch these episodes, which were the first pilot is, you put in here for our notes, was filmed in 1992 and never aired. Written by Rob Grant, Doug Naylor, and Linwood Boomer, and was directed by Jeff Melman.
Which is interesting because, like, I'm a huge Malcolm in the Middle fan. We've just watched the entire run of Malcolm in the Middle, and that was Linwood Boomer, and I love Malcolm in the Middle. So you think someone who has a comedy background, obviously this would have been before Malcolm in the Middle, I guess, because that was early 2000s Malcolm in the Middle, I think.
Yep.
So, you know, I kind of had high hopes for it, but yeah. And it starred Craig Bierko as Dave Lister, Chris Eigerman as Arnold Rimmer. He was the only one I knew, apart from Jane Leaves, who was Holly.
Yeah, and then you've got Henson Battle is the cat. Robert Llewellyn returns as Crichton. A little hard to see, but his head's a little different, but it's hard to see in the quality of that. You can find some pictures online. Lorraine Toussaint is Captain Tao, and Elizabeth Moorhead is Christine Kachansky. So here's the thing, Lee. I knew this was bad.
Yeah.
And right before I sat down to watch it, I read about pilots for TV shows, not specifically this one, but pilots for TV shows, how they work. And for those of you not familiar with how it works in the U.S., prior, when everything was on network TV and prior to streaming, you would film pilots and you would go pitch them to, this one was Universal. How about that? I didn't realize that it was Universal Television.
Oh, well, good on you, Universal.
Yeah, so this was pitched to Universal Television, but you would film a pilot, and if it got picked up, you move it. Now, famously, Star Trek did a pilot that the original series, and they picked up the show, but the pilot wasn't well received, and they made them do a new pilot that starred William Shatner. It had a lot of the same cast. Leonard Nimoy was Spock, but they got William Shatner, and they redid the whole thing. So you can now go on and see that pilot about Captain Pike. But that's what's interesting. They kept their pilot in canon. The Americans did not see anything but the first one with Captain Kirk.
Okay.
But there's a later episode where they bring back the events as a flashback from the pilot and use the pilot.
Okay,
right?
That's cool.
Because they meet Captain Pike later, and he's in this like wheelchair and he's had a terrible accident, and you do a flashback to the adventure he had, which feels weird because Leonard Nimoy's Spock acts a little different in the pilot than he does the original. But they did something interesting, Gene Roddenberry, and he kept the pilot. He was like, all right, same cast. Okay, then Pike was the first captain and Kirk's the new one. So he kind of kept it in canon before that was a thing you would even think about.
Yeah.
So it got picked up, but they changed it. And typically a pilot with no one famous, you might do the pilot and you might film it. And as the actors that are the main cast, you hope that if it gets picked up, you have to also hope that executives are like, oh, not only do we think this is a fun premise to do and that we can sell it, but we think your cast is great. Use these guys.
Yeah.
Because frequently what would happen is you'd film it and then they'd be like, okay, this is good. Keep this person. Find someone new for this. Hey, my niece just started acting. Hire her.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff would happen. And you'd have a whole different cast. So I bring that up because it made me watch this differently. So that when I sat down to watch it, I went, you know what? I have to decide whether to greenlight the show or not. This is a pitch, not a finished product. Let me just try to see if I can watch it from that viewpoint. Because I think, and then afterwards I went through and kind of read all the reviews on IMDb and stuff, like the user reviews. And I think that your gut reactions, visceral reactions are all about the British version is just, it's perfect. It's lightning in a bottle. What is this crap? Right. And it's true. Like this just doesn't, you're comparing it to 6 series worth of what we just saw with character buildup and all this stuff. And then kind of sort of starting over. And so anyway, I am excited to talk to you through this because I went in it ready to hate it. I'm not going to say I liked it, but what I ended up doing was writing down notes. I was like, what's the point of writing down what's terrible? I think anybody can watch this and see what doesn't work. But I started writing down what does work.
I've got bits of both. But even you saying that you have to look at it from a pitch, it was still terrible. So my
for sure.
Right. So
did you ever get so I was in college, I got a pitch. I got picked to get a VHS of a new show that was being pitched. It was a pilot, and it starred Ralph Macchio and it starred Andrew Dice Clay. And the VHS would erase as you watched it.
What?
So my friends in college in 1999, I was like, I got picked to do this.
How is that possible?
So we had to watch it, and we waited so we could all be together in the dorm. Watched it, took notes, and then I called the number and gave them my notes. Which annoyingly, most of them were how many of the commercials did I remember? More than did that TV show work out. But as you watched it, like a damn Mission Impossible, it erased the VHS as you watched it.
I don't see how that's even possible.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was Ralph Macchio, the freaking Karate Kid, and Andrew Dice Clay. Look it up. They did a pilot together. Anyway, but so pilots are weird. I mean, so this is kind of a pitch, and you want to spend enough time on it that it looks good, but not so much time on it because you don't want to burn a bunch of money for nothing. You know what I mean? It's a weird, pilots are weird.
Okay. Yeah. So before we get into the individual thing, I'm going to spin all the way around to the end, right? And do an overall thing about this episode. My biggest issue with this episode of Red Dwarf, it is, for all intents and purposes, the exact same episode as the first episode of the UK version.
It is, with some changes.
With all the jokes taken out, in my opinion. All the funny bits from Red Dwarf aren't there. The sort of plot points are there, but the actual funny bits have all been taken out. It just doesn't make any sense. We'll get to it when we go through.
I have thoughts onto why
individually, but it's just weird because like all the beats from the UK one are there.
Yeah,
but they seem to have taken out the funny bits in regards to those plot points.
I'll go to the end. What did I say? I got to remember too. And to be clear, this is version 1 of the Red Dwarf pilot we're talking about. The second one is much more of a pitch kind of thing, and you can tell it because they just did little bits and pieces.
I think that sells it much better than this does.
It does. I can't wait to talk about that actually. So because it's different, you almost don't compare it as much.
No.
So I wrote something down. I said my memory of this being so terrible may have actually made this particular viewing feel better than I remember because I was already prepared for the worst. And I said, if you look at this as a pilot that would have been redone if the show was picked up, there's potential in something entertaining, but it still wouldn't capture the lightning in the bottle of the original cast. I mean, I think that trying to do that, your best bet is to, as we've seen, like coupling I've talked about before, the American version doesn't work. The Office does.
Yes.
Its weakest when in the beginning, it really tries to be the British Office, but when it drifts into its own thing, it's great.
Yeah.
And so this has moments where I go, you know what? If you gave me this and I was able to go watch the original version and say, I'm going to green light this. Here are the things that I want to lean into from this. I think there is a way to lean into something that is familiar but different enough to go, you know what? Cool. It's like two different parallel universes, that I can, multiverse is so overdone these days, but you know what I mean? Like, but there's something like, I could see that. I wrote my overall note at the end was this weirdly has, and cause I talk about timing a whole lot with the comedy. This weirdly has terrible timing. And at the same time, there is better timing than the first original show's first episode at moments. It's odd to me because I think, when we went back and watched the very first, the end, I was like, this is great. And it set so much groundwork, but you can tell the rhythm of writing for these guys and them performing together isn't there yet. Whereas if let's say series 3, after series 3 or 4, the original cast was being pitched for an American pilot, but we wanted tweaks, and they basically did this episode, it would be so much better because their rhythm, right? Like you know what I mean? Like the way they can work together and stuff. So it's funny because at moments there are some bits, and I'd actually say they're the more original bits, have a better a flow to them.
I mean, you say original bits, but there isn't that much in it. It's, for all intents and purposes, the British version.
See, I think there's more original than you give it credit for.
Let's start at the beginning. I know it's
yes,
probably
so
only...
shall we? I'm so excited for this because this was, I mean, it's like a cultural artifact, right? Like this is cool to talk about.
The fact that they use the actual intro scene from Red Dwarf with that horrible synth theme music over the top, it just, oh my God. Like
now, to be fair,
it's probably a placeholder. I get that.
I was good. That's probably a placeholder. It's probably a weird.
But they could have got something better. It's like we've talked about how much that original is. It works into the first time you watch it, going, "Oh, this looks like it's going to be quite a serious thing," and then suddenly you watch what it is, and it's like, "Oh, this just straight away it's going to be, I don't know," and it's like so. When we were talking about it off air and you were like, oh, Jane Levy's Holly, and I'm like, okay, I can see that. She is horrible in it. She is terrible. She cannot act. The jokes do not hit at all. And
I disagree. There's one I think is great.
So, okay, there is one, and it's probably the same one where the electrocution bit, and she goes, ooh, actually, that one felt quite good.
That one felt quite
yes.
good. Yeah. But I think, I see that and go, okay, if we pick this up, we're going to do it. That's the her part we need to lean into. You know what I mean? When they actually have her do lines that are like Norman Love, it doesn't work.
No, and
when
that's
they
what
gave
she's
her
trying
original.
To do. Yes.
Yeah. When they give her stuff like that.
Yes.
Even her thing, and then everyone's all dead, and she says it so happy. Like I'm like, yeah. If you made this your version of Holly,
see, I thought that didn't work. It felt weird. It felt like, how can I say this line in the opposite way of how I should be saying that line? And it feels really forced and awkward the way she says it.
Well, I think they're trying to hit home. So one of the things that is the takeaway is this. Because we get the slow burn of the build of the story in the original British one, but in this one, you're trying to explain things faster. It's a pilot, so you gotta get a bunch of information out there. We have to show, oh yeah, Holly's screwed. It's been a while. Her brain's all messed up because she's been alone for it's like they try to. There are moments they have to push through, and some of those reasons are because, not to get ahead, because I think we should, they bring Crichton into this. So you take out a bunch of time from the original show that you built upon Rimmer, Lister, and Holly that instead is devoted to Crichton.
Kind of. I think they introduce Crichton in a way that it doesn't feel like you taking up time introducing him. And this thing runs 25 minutes, and we've said...
First one's 28 minutes. So if you give Crichton 3 minutes... we've really cut down that amount of time.
But even like we've said, how much the UK episodes cram in. This felt like it whizzed by, but glossed over so many of the points that was in. It's weird that they did the Holly additional joke at the beginning. I've got Holly the ship's computer with an IQ of 6,000. That's the same as 6,000 PE teachers. For a start, Americans don't call them PE teachers, so it's weird. I know she's British, but it's a weird British joke in an American pilot.
We called them... I grew up with PE teachers.
Really? Okay.
They don't say it now, but they taught PE. That's what when I was a kid. Okay. So this being 92, probably tracks.
It still felt a bit odd.
I did write down it's funny you say it, there is a joke that is such a specific Americanism that's a deep cut that I thought, this is wonderful, because it's like it's like doing the British deep cuts.
Okay. I think I know where you're going, because I was like, I don't really understand it, but go on.
Yeah, it's after he's woken up, but Lister walking around with Rimmer and being like, so what's it like? Being dead? It's like being at an Amish bachelor party.
Not a clue.
I'm like, holy crap. And of course, I now live in Amish country. I'm in Pennsylvania, and today I had to wait to get around horse buggies that were being pulled to get to breakfast with my mom this morning. So I didn't have a clue.
So
you know who the Amish are, right? Folks that choose to live like no technology
Yes.
past like 1870, something like that. But anyway, just I was like, God, this is like a teasy weezy,
Yes.
but for
Yeah.
Americans. I thought that was pretty funny.
I did like the joke at the beginning when it's like, I'm a hologram, which means I can't touch myself, which means my sex life is pretty much unchanged. That made me laugh because that felt like a Red Dwarf joke. But
It did, and it is one,
that.
right? Like that is a joke about Rimmer
Kind
in
of,
the
but
original
not said the
series.
same way. I think he says something like, I'll never like fondle a woman, and he's like, you never did any of those things anyway, Rimmer. So it's kind of the same joke,
Right.
but that was funny. I liked that one.
Yes, I thought that was good too. I think the shows. You know what's funny is I thought it was Lister, but on this viewing, I think it's the casting of Rimmer. He is so miscast.
Really?
In this.
Oh my God. It's funny how we have completely different ideas. I think he is the only one that is perfectly cast.
Oh, see, I was like, man, this Rimmer is so bad because as it got through. And then in the second pilot, I thought, you know what's funny? If this show had taken off, we wouldn't have Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. Or if he had done it, he'd be like, I was just copying Dave Lister from the Red Dwarf American show. Because basically, he's Chris Pratt's Star-Lord.
Yeah.
That's his vibe. And I was like, this is ahead of its time for American space bum man-child kind of thing. Because he is more the man-child, and even though Lister in the British version is image, I just wouldn't do the man-child reference to him. Is that weird? Am I wrong? Like when I say man-child, I think of such an American viewpoint of that, but I don't think of that when I think of Craig Charles as Dave Lister. But this guy has that sort of Andy. What was Chris Pratt's character from Parks and Rec? But Andy Dwyer.
I've never watched it.
Oh. Highly recommend. That's a good one.
Okay.
But his Chris Pratt's Andy Dwyer character, man-child, which that role really got him Star-Lord. So it like, I see what they're going for, even though that was kind of ahead of its time. We didn't really have that yet. And again, I'm not saying great. I just thought Rimmer didn't suck enough.
Oh, I know Chris Eigerman from, again, Malcolm in the Middle. He was he was the teacher that came in to the and he's such an annoying bastard in that series that I was just like, oh my God, he's perfect. Like the annoying person that Rimmer is, he was perfect. For me, it was Lister was the most miscast.
See, I just thought that Rimmer didn't get to do much. Like, we talked about how much Rimmer sucked, but we didn't actually see how much he sucked.
And then it's weird, this is going back to that bit again, that they used jokes from the UK one, but didn't actually sell the joke. So it's like, I'm going in to do my whichever exam it was. And it's like, you'll just go in, you'll write your name and pass out.
You'll pass out, yeah.
And yet in the British one, it's the whole thing about going in, you'll stand up, you'll write I'm a fish and sign it and do your little thing. And it's like, there's a whole joke there.
Oh, yeah, we don't even have the bad salute. And that's what I mean. Like, Rimmer doesn't get anything.
I think it's not just them, it's any of them. They have, like, this is what I'm saying, they have the beats from the show, but they don't have the jokes that go with it. So we get the fact that he would just go in, sign his name and pass out. But then the embellishment in the UK one is that he would sign it, I'm a fish, do his daft little salute, and then pass out. They just seem to gloss over those little jokes that are there that they take out.
And I feel like this is the American writer and or whoever is in producing. That's like, that's not how, that won't work for an American audience. Hammer, do you know what I mean? Like you can feel where those moments are. Now, where I think stuff is great is, when I say great, by the way, that's when Blake says great, moving forward in this episode, know that is relative to this episode, right? Things that I'm like, oh, if this, I can see this working. Lister and Crichton's meeting is not bad. That was actually one of my first notes. No. Like this meeting isn't bad. Oh, you know what? Right before there's one moment that I went, if they gave him more of this stuff, I would like this. Remember more? A 571 code. My God, they're out of weenies on deck 3. And I don't. We need more of that. But the Lister and Crichton meeting isn't bad. Now, part of this is completely helped by the fact that Robert Llewellyn is Crichton, and he's just great at being Crichton.
Yes. It feels a little off in this because he hasn't got the others to play off.
Sure, but you can feel
Yeah.
the other actors playing off him because he's just bringing so much to this, you know. I love the whole, well, to be clear, so all you humans look alike. To me, she looks just like you, only with lumps. That was such a great, like, Crichton line. Like, I was like, that's great, you know? And that whole bit of like, Crichton, can you give us a moment? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You want to be dumped in private. Like, that whole bit was, and that's what started me going, okay, you know what? I'm going to start, because I basically didn't take a note until Lister and Crichton meeting, not bad. And I was like, you know what? Maybe what I'll try to do is lean on the positives. And I did think that whole bit was great. I also think, I might say something controversial. There is something this episode does better than the original.
End.
No, this sets up Kachansky way better.
You think?
It sets her up, but I'm not saying like the performer, but I'm saying the fact that there is a relationship, because in those series, they really bounced around on he was in love with her, but she barely knew his name, or they did have a thing, but they kept waffling. And actually, we're about to get into that in the current series we're watching. But like, they kept waffling. And this one actually setting up like, I like you, Dave. You just won't take anything seriously. And then when he's punished and she's not going to see him for 6 months, she's like, I love you, you know?
Like, you lick me? Which is a terrible joke, by the way. But.
Yeah, but I can see that. And I could see that in the end. The end has a few of those jokes. Like, I could see that. But like, so that then when he wakes up, he's like, Kachansky, you are there.
Okay, because I can understand that.
That's what I mean. Kachansky is set up better, not as necessarily her character, but like what she means to Dave. Because in the original first series, Kachansky is more like, there's just this hot chick that wouldn't really give you the time of day. And it feels like, and you didn't, he was like, he made up the story about being with her, but it never really was true.
Yeah.
But then they kept kind of dropping things like, is it, you know, but I thought, well, this is actually a stronger, like, Dave getting up and running through the ship looking for her. And, you know, I was like, that's actually, I like her set up as a, not necessarily her as the performer or even the script she was given, but just
as a character, like
the concept.
As a plot point for Lister.
Yes. Yeah. Because Kachansky is so important to Red Dwarf lore.
Yeah.
And this actually sets that in a stronger space.
Yeah.
But if you think about it,
I'll agree with that.
They've had 5 series of putting the show together going, hey, you know what? Let's do what we didn't do the first time.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that wasn't part of the plan, right? I mean, as they were continuing the show, they're like, well, you know.
Tweaking things and, of course. They're like, we like that. We'll move that forward, never with a long-term plan. I tell you what, there was a joke in this that I felt was a very British joke, but told from an American standpoint. It was weird because I've had this happen to me when I've been in the US. And I can't remember who it is who's talking. And he goes, where are you from? And I think Lister says, Earth. And he goes, Earth? Do you know Harry Johnson? Right? It's that whole thing. Like, I've had that happen to me where, you're from England, are you? Do you know Dave Lewis or someone?
Do you know Dave Fishwick?
Yeah.
He owns the fish and chip shops over in Burnley.
Yeah. Even though I live like 3 hours away, because Americans think that it's so small. It was that, but it's a very British, like a British person would get that because the Americans are like that. And I love that they take that American concept and apply it to an entire planet. Is it
a double joke? Because it also sets up how gullible Crichton is, that like Harry Johnson is obviously a play on, I mean, in America, we'll call a penis a Johnson.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
So when I heard Harry Johnson, I thought, some crew member was like, I'm from Earth. What's your name, sir? Harry Johnson.
Yeah,
tell him, you know what I mean? Like,
I never got that.
So I was like, is this a 2-part joke?
Yeah,
Both the sort of like, you know, it cracked me up because I was like, it is a very high, I want to say high level, but like you said, you know, I'm from, you know, we do it over here too. People are like, you're from Texas? Do you know Bob Williams?
Yes.
What are you talking
like Texas
about?
is the biggest state in the US. Of course I know him, yeah.
I mean, he just happens to be 9 hours away from where I live. Yeah.
But then there was another bit moving forward as well that, again, the bones of it were there, but they removed everything else. The bit when he's like, I want to take Christine and I want to go and live on this island. See, I've got this picture with 2 pigs, a sheep and a cow. No Fiji, no any of that. And it's like the joke, like what the two pigs, the sheep and a cow are there. Literally, it's, what is it? A cow, I can't remember. Is it a sheep and two horses?
A pig, two sheep, and a cow.
Yeah, but in the UK one, it's the whole joke of, I want to have a sheep and a cow and breed horses. Joke there. The joke isn't there. It doesn't make sense. It's really annoying.
I wrote this down as it's definitely changed because they dropped Fiji because Americans don't travel. And so they wouldn't get I don't think the whole, like, what are you going to do with these sheep? It's nothing but water around there. It's like they're wading the water. I don't know. Because Rimmer mentioned something about the dream being stupid because how are you going to have these pastures with
I don't think he mentions anything about that, does he? I don't think it's referenced at all. He literally just says, I want to take it to this island where we're going to have two pigs, a sheep and a cow. And he goes, and Rimmer says something. That's all he says. And
that's all he says in this one. And he actually says it to Crichton instead of Rimmer.
But it's weird, so the joke's not there. Like, you've taken the actual joke out of it. That bit doesn't make sense. And they do it with the stasis bit when he's asking, we're going to put you in stasis. Like, what's that? And he just goes, it's something I can't remember. And yet the whole joke of Todd Hunter telling him it's a moment in time where it can't leak through. I can't remember what the whole thing is. But his whole monologue about the stasis field is brilliant in the UK. And they leave that out. And it's just little bits like that you're setting up.
I wonder if that gets us to 25 minutes and adding Crichton, right? Because in America, your episode would be about 23 minutes long because of commercials. Yeah. So you can't throw out a 28, 29 minute pilot. They'll be like, well, this is too long because executives do not have imagination. I'm not being rude. They just look at a million things. And so what you show them is what they will react to. So they'll be like, how long was that? 20 minutes? That won't work. Never mind. Cancel it. Don't do it. And so I wonder if getting Crichton in, like, is that moment's like, hey, you know what? We can just cut this. You know what? Let's just trim this down. Because I will say they did cut that joke, Lee, but they got a pretty good joke in that same scene. Because since it's Crichton in there and not Rimmer, when it's like announcement, there is an unknown registered animal. And then you got Crichton going, what kind of a G-brain would smuggle on an animal class quarantine? And he's like, Crichton, come here. I want to show you something. I was like, that's good. And then the follow-up, but sir, you can clearly see this cat is pregnant. Is he? I thought it was all the beer I was giving. Yeah. I thought, I was like, boom, that's great. Like, and that's on my viewing, trying to keep from battering this thing. I was like trying to find moments like that where I was like, okay, that's a pretty good joke. I mean, that totally works. And I could hear Craig Charles delivering that too.
But I liked, going on that as well, when they're questioning Crichton about where the cat is. And he's like steaming and he's like, you're causing him pain. And his eyes pop out and land in the cup of tea on the side. I thought was really funny.
I wrote that down as, this is absolutely classic Red Dwarf. Yes. And I can't believe it never ended up in one of the British episodes because that is great. Do you know what I mean? Like that, and even the change of Captain Tao. I like that this captain, she's more hard ass than our dude from Aliens was. But this, so I definitely highlighted the Crichton conversation, the picture of the dream outside of the car, the photo aside, that this scene with the Frankenstein cat and Crichton and leading up to Crichton getting in trouble or breaking when being asked what happened was really the best of the episode. I felt like that section, and it is the most new. I mean, Frankenstein the cat is obviously part of the original, but this moment was the most new. Did you have a moment where you were like, because we've talked about how much, we obviously really like Crichton, where you're like, man, you probably could have started with Crichton from the get-go. But the problem being what they're running into now is it doesn't give you the time to really marinate in Rimmer and Lister. And they're sort of
like, I did write down that I do like the fact that they started with Crichton from the start, but I was a bit disappointed. And again, it's probably a runtime thing from you talking about it now, when they find Crichton after 3 million years, and I expected him to be a little bit more demented, and he's just like, I've just been reading that fire exit sign, so it's got me through many a year.
And really got me through.
Yeah, I wanted a bit more sort of loopy Crichton, because he's been just sat ahead on a shelf for 3 million years. But then that's another thing. It's like one of the funniest things. You ask anybody the joke or the sort of plot jokes that everyone remembers from Red Dwarf. They're all dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave. Dave
oh,
the
yeah.
dead.
I found it interesting that
and
they didn't
do that.
No, they played it more, I don't want to say real, but they played it more like, because he was looking for Kachansky, I wonder if, would it just not work because he's legitimately cares? Whereas is the English version is like, what? Like, he doesn't really care about anybody on there.
But I also think it's a runtime thing. The more you bring that up, the more I think about it. You think how much time in the UK one Lister gets to marinate in what's going on from when he comes out of stasis.
It takes forever.
To when Rimmer first appears. It's quite a long time, actually, because he's wandering around, isn't he? Like, looking in all the rooms. What's going on, Hol? Well, this happened, and it's like, it's a huge, whereas this, he comes in, well, everybody's dead, who's this? That was catering officer, whoever it was.
I did like the initial, like, and everyone succumbed, just whatever, the lethal dose of radiation. Did anyone survive? No, they're dead. That's why it's lethal, which I was like, yes, there's a way. It didn't quite land. I see the joke.
Yeah.
It's not quite,
No, and I like the fact that, like, in the UK series, that it's the fact that Lister went into stasis that the event happened in the first place, because Rimmer was the one that was supposed to be securing the drive shaft, and because Lister was in stasis, it was a two-person job, and Rimmer had to do it on his own, so he didn't do it properly, and that's what caused the radiation leak. In this, it just happens. There's no explanation. I know it's a pilot, and I know it's irrelevant to the story.
Well,
but
I don't... Do we find that out in that episode? Because I feel like...
I don't think it's mentioned.
Because isn't it the episode where you see, like, his death? He's watching the video of his death, and that's where you find out, like, he has to go do the drive plate, and it's...
Oh, I can't remember now.
I can't remember if that's it might not be said in the first episode.
One. Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
it may have been, but I know it's later for sure, because you watch you watch the footage of his death, and it's the first time you see the crew back because they do that flashback. So I wrote that down too, and I went, "Ooh, I can't remember."
No, I'm just going to look up the script to see if it's in the first episode.
I will say this one was much clearer about when it happened, in that it was like right afterwards. Like it was so soon afterwards that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just removed all the jokes. It kept all the beats of the story and removed all the jokes. That was my biggest issue with it.
Well, but they did add some good jokes, though. I will say the joke that I laughed the hardest at was, like, they're all dead. And how long's it been? You're going to laugh at this. Okay, how long's it been? Just under 3 million years. Beat. My baseball cards must be worth a fortune.
See, that's a very American joke, I think. But yeah, I get it from a US point of view.
But it's also like a very Lister joke, right? So English or American because of baseball. But I could see Liverpudlian Lister about something else making that same kind of, like, that thought popping in his head. Like, I thought, oh, that's a really good. It's very Douglas Adamsy when Arthur finds, if you read the book, when he finds out the Earth is gone, he sits there, he's like, Mom's gone. He doesn't react. It's only when he realizes that he'll never have another McDonald's again that he, like, loses his mind. And it's, it's very like, I was like, oh, that's a good bit. A good bit, and, like, cool. You couldn't do that joke with the UK version.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, it justifies itself.
So here you go from the original script. Oh, this is terrible, and why is it dirty around here, Hol? What is this stuff? Lister dips his finger in another pile and tastes it. That is catering officer Olaf Peterson. I've been eating half the crew. And who's that? That's Captain Hollister. And that's Todd Hunter. No, that's second technician Rimmer. Oh yeah, I didn't recognise him without his report book. What was Rimmer doing in the drive room? He was explaining to the captain why he hadn't sealed the drive plate properly.
Okay. Do we know that, though, that's the reason? Does it... I've got to go back and watch. This does make me want to go back and watch that one again, to be honest. I should have done that.
It would
right
be
after
very interesting to compare the two. But like in my memory, this, like I say, it has the bones of that episode. It adds a little bit in, but takes away, for me, all the best bits.
It's got, I did like the bit after this, the Holly sparking, like we mentioned earlier. Are you okay? I'm not okay.
Like, she's
my sister's
brilliant.
breaking down.
Yeah.
Her delivery of that, like, actually, that one felt pretty good.
It was.
Like,
that's probably the best line in the whole thing for me. It was good.
Yeah, and that's the one I feel like where you watch it, you go, okay, if we're now going to pick up this show, that is how I write Holly.
Yeah.
This is where we lean into, like with Holly.
There was a weird bit in here as well. We've commented quite a lot on the UK series about how they've telegraphed certain jokes and stuff. And there's one in here that I felt like it didn't need it. Where they go, she's like, awooga, awooga. And it's like, what's going on, Hol? Oh, I can't remember where I put the thing. It's like,
where I put the alarm or whatever. Yeah.
There's an alien life form. Where is it, Hol? Oh, it's in the cargo hold. Oh, that's where I hid the cat. They didn't need to say that. Why would you need to say... that annoyed me a little bit because it's really telegraphing what they're about to find.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You didn't need to say that because...
Didn't need to. Just let him go down and go and see what it is.
Or less, like if he went down there and was like, I know this area very well. This is where I hid your cat. That would have even been better.
It was just weird that, yeah.
It was like, but again, that feels like one of those notes, like, oh, you got to make sure you get this. You feel that a lot. You feel them over-explaining things so that the executives will get it. Because in the UK, you guys had your 6-episode series. You could let it lay out. And this one is, we're trying to convince people to give us money to make a bunch of these. And, so stuff like that. Well, again, where I don't know if that would make it in your final version or not. There is a great Rimmer line in here, though, when she's like, "Hey, but that's a light bee," which we established the light bee from the beginning.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
And there's someone we can bring back. Blah blah blah. The person's on that disc, and it's like, oh, it's Rimmer. And but I did like the explanation to Rimmer of what happened, and Rimmer's. I could totally hear Chris Berry doing this. All 5,000 people wiped out. This is terrific. I'm in charge.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's a great Rimmer line. Like, it's funny how you can almost feel like Rob Grant and Doug Naylor going, if we were redoing this, I would have put this line, knowing what we know now about Rimmer, So it's funny that there's moments like that.
Because I feel like we've lost that Rimmer a lot in the UK series moving forward.
Right. It's the problem actually with the character growth with Rimmer. It's that if he stays that way, he actually does become awful.
Yeah.
I did very much like, even though this was, I was like, this is over explanation, but I like it from a dinosaur DNA. I'm Dino DNA way, which was the animated cat explanation of the evolution of the cats.
Yes.
I thought that was great. Like, just seeing the little blue animated cats, and this gave birth to this many, and then there were certain mutations. You got like that cave cat smashing another cat in the head. I wrote this about Cat.
Go on.
Cat isn't bad.
You agree? I thought he was terrible. The problem is we're comparing him to Danny John Jules.
Well, no, I could see him. Well, he isn't bad. I could see him coexisting with our cat. As in, like, if they ran into another Felis Humanus or whatever they call that race, I could see this guy playing one of them.
But he's not.
You know what I mean?
He does. Tracy, I was watching it with Tracy, and the one thing, and she literally took the words out of my mouth. He has no charisma, and most of them don't have the charisma that Chris Barry... I mean, even Robert Llewellyn, I don't feel is as good as he is with the others. But Chris Barry, Craig Charles, and Danny John Jules, like Danny John Jules, and we've said that we've lost a lot of that cat. Ow, that's man, and this is man, and he is so flat. This cat, it's weird, and I know we're comparing it to. The difference is the execs watching this probably don't know Red Dwarf exists at all, whereas we're watching it from a point of view of watching and discussing and knowing how good that is to then comparing this to that.
If I were going to be Robert Llewellyn over, I think I'd have brought Danny John Jules over.
I mean, maybe they did. They didn't want to do it.
Danny John Jules does not use an English accent per se as Cat. It's kind of this quasi-Americanized sort of thing. Like, I It's an odd one to me. If you were going to recast Rimmer and Lister, okay.
So here you go, just to jump in. So Chris Barry was offered the chance to reprise his role, but turned it down because he didn't want to commit to a 5-year contract. Danny John Jules was offered the chance to reprise his role of the Cat for the second version of the pilot, but he was in London on a production of Carmen Jones at the time and was unavailable.
So they recognized it didn't work, which is interesting because in the second pilot, we'll get to it, they totally redo Cat.
Very
and
different.
I'm like, you know what? If you're going to do it different, that's probably go for it.
Yeah.
So another thing that felt like a classic good Red Dwarf bit was them seeing their future selves, but with Kachansky, but no Rimmer. Where's Rimmer?
Yes.
He's golfing.
It's funny how we've just had that scene virtually verbatim in the series that we've just watched, but with
which,
Lister
if you
not.
Consider,
that makes sense.
They wrote this series 5, so series 6 hadn't been done yet.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so they obviously saw that. So when Rob Grant and Doug Naylor come in and help rewrite this script, they're like, "That's a cool idea. I think we shall use that for the next season." Yeah. Sorry,
and I can't tell with the 3 of them being attached. They may have written out a lot of this, or maybe. I would love to know, and I didn't watch there online. There's a bit of a Red Dwarf USA documentary. There's some interviews with Robert Llewellyn and stuff. I need to watch those. Maybe there's some information about that. But I did love the look, we got to talk. The power drain's enormous. Lister, you gotta, and then it cuts off.
Yeah, well, I gotta. You heard him. I gotta.
Now I have this memory. Now here's the problem. When I first saw this pilot, at the end, he grabbed the cat and Crichton and said, "The slime's coming home."
Interesting.
He did the end. So when I saw this, I went, wait a minute. Because I might have downloaded mine in a shady way in Japan in 2004. So which I don't have anymore. And I'm like, that ending is different. So now.
It ends very flat, actually.
If I can go, I usually, every computer I've gotten, I always dump it onto an old hard drive. I may have to go digging around and see if I can find that Red Dwarf, because I remember hating it more because my memory, granted, it's been a while, 10, 20 years.
Wow.
Is that it was so much like the first one, I didn't get why they did it. This one had slightly more differences to go, okay. But when I was like, hey, wait, where's the slime's coming home bit?
Yeah.
They didn't do it. I was kind of surprised at that. I thought the guy's doing the best he can with this pilot is Dave Lister, because if you saw the original show and you're an American and you should go do this, I think the Liverpudlian working class vibe that Craig Charles brings as this character, also not for nothing, but a person of color, and you totally turn this role into a white guy. I wouldn't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so specific.
Yeah.
You almost feel like if you were really going to do the American version, I wouldn't do, and again, it's like it's a Chris Pratt copy, except Chris Pratt came later. But he is very much a Chris Pratt Star-Lord, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could see this guy auditioning for the role of Star-Lord, right? I feel like what you should have done is it should have been like, I don't know, like a guy from New York, or like a Boston accent, or from Texas or something. Like the regionalism of making Lister the last human on Earth, and he's from Liverpool. Like, I think doing the generic no accent. As far as an American, you can't tell a regional accent of him. Hurts this, because I feel like part of if you were actually going to do an American version, I would want to, whether it's, if you want to pick like lower class kind of like vibe, if you want like
Alabama
stereotypically, like, yeah, if he had sort of a Greenbow, Alabama accent, like, all right, boy, slime's coming home. Yeah. There's definitely, I don't know if that's the right choice, but like, I think the lack of that hurts this. There's a specificity to Craig Charles being the last human alive that this guy doesn't have.
Yeah, Craig Bierko just feels like any generic American on it. And it's interesting that he did an interview, according to the trivia, he did an interview on Kevin Pollak's chat show in 2009, and he admitted the producers had made a huge mistake in casting him as Dave Lister, and that a John Belushi type should have been cast. And then in Red Dwarfing USA in 2004, Danny John Jules said that Belushi would have been the only American actor who could have played Lister. And you think to like John Belushi from Animal House would have been perfect.
Yes. So that's a perfect example. Like someone that's like, you're the last person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the thing. Like the Lister in this just feels like, yeah, he's like, you wouldn't meet him and like the whole thing of Lister is like, oh my God, you're the last human. But like you said, you're the last person alive. Oh my God. Whereas you'd look at him and go, oh yeah, fair enough. You know, he's a relatively good looking guy. He's pretty cool. He's not a slob like Lister should be.
No, he did get the girl to some extent. Yeah. He screwed it up, but he got the girl. Like, he just isn't a loser enough. And I'm not implying that Craig Charles.
No, but he's not a loser, but it's that.
Well, and you tell me, I might be reading something as an American, but like I hear the Liverpool accent, my brain thinks, well, we're trying to establish a very working class kind of person. Yeah. Like that's like, yeah.
Yeah. The only other accent you probably would have used in a similar vein would be like a Lancashire or a Yorkshire accent would have probably got you the same vibe.
Yeah. And so him just being that sort of, you know, we're in the cast of Friends, no accent, American accent. Just
a lot of friends that live in New York but don't have New York accents. Yeah, okay.
Exactly, you know, and like I would have loved the guy. Like my mom is allergic to red dye 40. It's artificial coloring that is in food, and it's funny. My wife, we ordered some pizza last night, and she's like, hey, I hate to ask this, but do you guys make your own dough? My mother-in-law, she's allergic to, caramel color, red dye 40. You just have to check. She's like, I don't know. Now, we're in Pennsylvania, but the dude who runs it is definitely from New York. And she's like, do we have any red dye 40s? Oh, yeah, no, we do that all the time. No, we got flour, we use water, we use dough. Man, come on. In the back. And my wife was rolling. She's like, now they're being kind of sarcastic, but for real, she's like, no, you're safe. He's like, okay, good. Tell them I appreciate that. But like, come on, we make this here.
Hey, I'm making pizza.
You're making pizza. But even then, you know, like, oh, come on, Chance, give me a chance. What are you doing here? Hey, Crichton, shut down for a minute, will you, huh?
Yeah.
Like that would have, and you could see Belushi. Actually, God, what a cool shout. Yes, that
was he still alive at that point?
I think, you know what, man, and Lee, this might be why I'm much kinder to this guy. This is not his choice. He just took a freaking gig.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know,
and it's just not him. He's not that type of person.
Yeah. I wrote the note down. He is doing the total best he can.
Yeah.
And so he's just kind of like bit of a man child. Like, you do get more of a story, right? Crichton asks him why he's there. You do get it's interesting. You get the story of, I was doing this. I woke up, didn't have money. So I joined these guys so I could pay my way back to Earth. Oh, you're from Earth. Do you know Harry Johnson?
That's right. Yeah.
So there were some things that I was like, oh, interesting. They wanted to give more of a backstory because we got the backstory for the boys like over several episodes.
Yes.
You know, like we know all this stuff about Rimmer's family life, but literally that's like 3 different episodes, I think, of putting that all together. So I think this guy did the best he could. It is kind of Chris Pratt Star-Lord before Chris Pratt is Star-Lord. What did I say? And like I said, there was weirdly terrible timing, and at the same time, some timing is better. There is a pace with the "this is mine, this is mine, this is mine" spray with Kat that in the original one doesn't work as well for me. I know what he's doing, but when I have like someone like my wife who's watching it for the first time, the way it's filmed, his little spray thing is not as clear at first, and you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. Whereas in this one, I did appreciate the spray can really sprayed, and I was like, so there are moments of things where I'm like, that is crafted better as a visual. But then, I mean, the cat, he barely gets to do anything. He's just like, be big, and he does the "this is mine" joke. He doesn't do anything.
Now, think about the introduction of Cat in this, and then think about the introduction of Cat in the UK version. His intro is amazing. Like when he pops off the panel on the wall and comes forward rolling out, and he's like, "Hey, and it's just like, oh my God, you fall in love with him instantly. Whereas this is just kind of sat on a box. You want my string. Just no charisma there. It's weird.
Yeah, and again, and also he just doesn't have a lot to. Now, I'll say, from the short bit we saw of him, I could absolutely see him showing up in an episode and being, one of the cat people they might meet. Like I could totally see him doing that. He's just not the cat.
No,
I wish I could find. I tried searching online, but I have a distinct memory of the American guy being, "Hey, tell the slime we're coming home." That they do. So I think there's still a version we have not seen. I'm gonna do some digging.
You're gonna make me watch this again.
I have this version.
Okay.
In my files somewhere. I feel like I do. Okay, real fast. I found all the stuff when I was living in Japan to watch them. I'm gonna do some searching.
Okay.
But there might be a reality where, because I think that's when I first discovered there was an American version, because there was like a...
Yeah. You were just downloading everything you could.
Yeah. Then I remember seeing like USA Pilot or whatever. And I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. But I remember that. Oh man. All right. I'll have to go do a little digging around. See what I can find in there. But I had a memory that the end was just a slight bit different.
Yeah, this one just kind of ended. It was weird.
I did like the joke, like, here we go, and then you click it and the radio starts playing.
And then the light goes off, and yeah.
But it's funny how, probably a testament to Robert Llewellyn, they're like, we got to use you. We can't use anybody else. You have to do this, right? Like, because he's just Crichton. You know what I mean? So the Crichton stuff is some of the better stuff. It cuts into...
Which it should be.
Rimmer. Yeah, and it cuts into Rimmer and Cat time in a way that's detrimental. I appreciate things I appreciate. I appreciate expanding a bit of Lister's lore a little bit. I appreciate that, this actually sets up Kachansky as someone who is actually important to him. Whereas we have assumed it at this point, but we have never seen anything that gave any indication that she gave a damn.
Well, she didn't. We know
she didn't.
Yeah, she didn't.
Yeah.
It was just he was absolutely head over heels in love with her.
Which is interesting. And I love the tease of showing the time travel to her at the end. I mean, that's like, oh, cool. Like, that sets up to a show that you can tell if they really had the show picked up, they were artists trying to look at how they were looking at their show and going, this is a continuing story, right?
Yeah. We're setting things up from the future for the future. Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Yeah. I remembered it being so bad. I think I enjoyed it more than I did. Definitely reading the article about how pilots are made in America.
I didn't enjoy
back then, especially.
At all.
Made me look at it different from this is a pitch.
I just watched it as an episode that would have gone out, and I just thought it was terrible. I just thought it took, like I've said about 6 times already, the bare bones of the plot from the end, but stripped out all the stuff that was worth watching.
I do think that the Frankenstein bit would have been funny. It would have been great in the actual show. I thought it was just the beer I was feeding him. The 5,000 people wiped out. This is terrific. I'm in charge. There's a great Rimmer line, but it's just, there's just not. And I have to imagine the reason it's not picked up, again, we feel this way because we're comparing it to what we know.
Exactly.
If you're an executive that doesn't know it and you're watching this, I think they might have done themselves a disservice by whoever's produced it going, hey man, you got to put all this stuff in there so it makes sense so you understand it. Whereas I talk about as a kid stumbling across Red Dwarf, missing the first couple episodes even, and being like, what is this? And just only having the beginning, 3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf. And that's the only explanation I got.
That's all you need, though.
But going, I'm intrigued. Who are they? And I gotta say, I actually think, and version 2 of this actually does a slightly better job. I see why they did it the way they did it, because it sets everything up. But there is probably a world where actually doing stuff that's more normal, because this isn't normal. After the end, we don't get the crew again. You know what I mean? Except in flashbacks. That's not what the show is. The show is a situational comedy with our main cast.
Yeah.
So the end is a bad pilot because it actually doesn't show you
what the show's going to become. Yeah.
Yes. Whereas I do think, I mean, maybe is this a good segue to version 2?
Yeah.
That version 2. So
I felt this did a much better job at showcasing what this show is and will be.
So version 2, hopefully you watched it, but it's only about 10 minutes long, and it has a strong conceit, which is a camera straight on Lister.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, this is what's going on. I'm the last human alive. And he's explaining stuff in a way you can tell.
Out? Sorry, Blake, can I just point something? It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting that we watch this US pilot now, because if you think about this and then think about the opening scene of Series 7, Episode 1, it's very similar.
It's very similar. I know, but this is in 92.
Yeah,
that scene it doesn't come out till 97.
It's very strange. Yeah, very.
I had the same.
Sorry to butt in, but I had to say that.
Well, also this was the time where like the reality shows are trying to take off, but like Big Brother and God, what was the MTV one that was so popular? Oh God, I'm losing my American card. That was the big one for us.
Not the Jersey Shore.
Not Jersey Shore. It was one of MTV, The House.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But like the camera is straight on you. You kind of do it a confessional. And I think this is a smarter conceit to sell the show.
Like you basically have him telling you the plot interspersed with clips of this, that, and the other. I thought it worked much, much better.
I love that he's like, I found Rimmer, and then you see him cut Rimmer on, and then it cuts, and it shows a different actor is Rimmer.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I wrote second Rimmer is better. Obviously, we know that he disagree with it.
I still prefer the first one. He did, but I still prefer...
So what's nuts, though, in this 10-minute cutting, this Rimmer had more to do in this pilot than the first one did.
Because obviously we get... it's weird that they took, again, huge bits from the UK series. You got the whole... well, I'd go with Betty, but I'd be thinking of Wilma. Which I don't think is said. It's not as good. The delivery of a lot of stuff isn't as good.
No, and it's not as good as mine as when I told you I auditioned for being a lawn keeper, and I did that monologue as a Scottish guy.
And then the fact that they do like a whole, basically, was it 3 or 4 minutes of Marooned?
Yeah, which I thought, well, that's smart actually, because we talked about Maroon as like a play. You could just do it as a play with 2 people. So actually just setting up Maroon, show the ship crash, just throw up a white tarp like a tent.
True.
This is actually a smart one because it's a cheap way to film this scene, right? And so what they do is he sort of, he's explaining like, and he'll just say things like, blah, 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 like, and then my Rimmer, and then it shows Rimmer, and then it showed, and it was interesting because it said Marooned. And then it gave a name for another episode called Shutdown, which we don't have in the UK version. But they also introduced the cat. And you know what's interesting? I remember having seen a bit of this before, and that, why did you make the cat female? This is terrible. This is so dumb. Well, maybe it was watching it right after the first one, and I went, if you were going to do this...
Yeah, why try and copy, do something very different? And she is. And it's not just the fact that she's female. She's a very different character.
She's a vicious cat. She's like, whatever, I'll kick this person's ass.
Yeah.
And then I'll go make love to 9 people tonight because I'm having a slow evening. Like, which is very cat. I think of it as very mama cat. Now, can I tell you again? Do you see what's happened? Do you remember my references to Dave Lister in the first pilot?
Right.
Well, now we've got Star-Lord and Gamora here.
Oh, yes.
I was like, oh my God, now we're still just doing this Chris Pratt Star-Lord thing. It's Star-Lord and Gamora. And I wrote down the female cat would be an interesting thing for our original cast to encounter. But in this case, she was, I believe, introduced by an executive who was like, you know what? People in sitcoms, they love a good, because obviously they went back to the board and rewrote and kind of did this quick pilot. But like people love a will they, won't they in their sitcoms. Are they going to sleep together? Are they not? And you're like, well, this is clearly a note from an executive, but maybe because it's different and it forced them to be different, you really only have, so in this pilot, you get these short little scenes to kind of give the idea of who the characters, and they've got this scene in in a hallway that's very Red Dwarf, where she's like, why are you so nervous? Oh, I don't know. There's a big demon alien monster that's waiting to impregnate me. Of course I'm nervous. You know, it's like, and she's like, you humans and like your choice of being with someone your whole life. What an idiot. Like I have 8 or 9 partners in a night. How else could you get bored? You know, like and that she's going to like kill this thing and kick its ass. She's Gamora, man. Like, she's totally Gamora, and it's Star-Lord and Gamora. But she was interesting. And you see more of the cat lore.
Yes, I agree. Like you say, I think sometimes trying to do a similar version of things for a different audience isn't necessarily the way to go. Maybe if you anchor it on, like if you were going to have Robert Llewellyn as Crichton, you anchor it on Crichton being the same, but then have everyone around him different. Because then potentially you've got a UK and a US audience to watch it. Because otherwise the UK people are going to watch that and go, I'm not watching that. It's an inferior version of what we've already got. But if you do something different, again, we've talked about The Office, where it kind of was the same but it still did enough different in those first couple of series that it didn't feel like the UK Office. And then eventually became entirely its own thing. And we've watched both, and I love both. There's also, I don't know whether we've talked about this before, the TV series Ghosts. Have you ever watched Ghosts?
Oh, yeah. We did talk about that. Yes.
So the UK and the US version are kind of the same, but different enough that they don't feel like the same show. And we watch both and love both of them.
So... Well, and one of the things with this, by just doing this different swing, they do another scene where clearly it's in the same hallway and they're just filming this thing quick, but you have the new Rimmer and you have Cat Gamora and you have Lister looking into the screen where they're like, we've got something, you know, we got aliens or whatever. Are they going to be the kind of like aliens with like sexy beehives and they would say, take me to your leader or whatever. And then Rimmer's like, or is it the kind of aliens that want to put things inside of you that burst out of you unexpectedly? I went, oh my God, we got an aliens reference. Yeah. Even in the pilot.
But then that joke's from an original episode, isn't it? The whole with Beehive Head is going to show me something, show me more about that thing you called kissing. I can't remember which episode it's from now.
Oh, yeah. And it's clearly obviously a reference to like old Star Trek as well, like layered within it. So, but even though the 3 of them are only in that one shot together, and then you have Dave and the new cat together in one scene, and then as you mentioned, they do a piece of Marooned where you've got Rimmer and Lister together. You actually see the chemistry between these 3 performers more. So the chemistry is actually better with this group. Now, Dave Lister in the American version did get chemistry with Crichton because he actually did stuff with him.
Yeah.
You know, but in this one, there's actually a bit of chemistry here. Interesting. They didn't use Crichton at all.
No.
But I think this was a smarter way to pitch it, to be like, hey, like, these are the kind of things we can get into, and it's funny to venture. Now, what's funny is I think if you look at the framework of this pilot now, we were just talking about Murderbot Diaries, the last episode, and you said you started looking at it.
We finished it now.
Apple. And you could see this kind of a show, forget the Red Dwarf, but you could see this second pilot being pitched now, right, to do. In 1992, again, we've talked about the difference between American and British TV. You're pitching this to a network, hoping that they can sell advertising. That's how they make their money, right? Sell their advertising when this show airs. And you are looking at this space show with adventure elements and special effects, and you have to make 22 episodes for the season, which basically means even if you just did Red Dwarf scripts that exist, you will have burnt through series 1 through 4 to do that.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So, of course, when this didn't get picked up, I think, to be fair to these guys, it has very little to do with this actual show, because there are some things in here you could say, we can make something fun out of this. I think realistically at the time, there is just no way anyone's going to spend the money to make this show. Whereas you make Friends, and at the time, before they all made a ton of money, because the show wasn't a hit yet, you make the show, you build 2 sets, you're good to go.
Yep.
That's it. And this show was already leaning on maybe doing more than that. So I can see this never being, again, you have to, I don't want to sound like I'm defending that this is good. It's a pitch. it was never, you were never meant, if this had been
yes.
picked up, I'm not saying it had been good, but you would never have been intended to see this.
No.
They would have.
Yeah.
Like,
this was just a sort of execs to go, this is the premise of what we should. To me, it was still bad. If you're trying, this is what you're trying to show what it could be. It was still terrible, whether you are comparing it to the UK version or not. It left out, for me, 80% of what makes Red Dwarf good.
Yeah.
And just left the bones behind of the basic premise of it, I guess.
But it's like, imagine pitching the Orville then. You'd never do it. We're going to spend the money to make a Star Trek special effects. But nowadays, you could do the Orville because effects aren't cheap, but you can do things with the computer you couldn't have done before. You can get stuff to pass off. I mean,
the Orville's a weird one, isn't it? Because I expected, you see...
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane attached to it, and you expect it to be a kind of quirky, comedic space romp, and it's entirely the opposite. It takes itself very, very seriously, and actually was better for it.
I just think this is like the biggest problem this faces is I was able to let go my comparisons a bit and just try to look at things at pitch, but still, the end of the day. This is like going, man, the Monty Python Flying Circus is a popular show. We're going to recast it and do an American version.
Oh my God, can you imagine that?
It just doesn't, I think these people are so integral to the show. It just doesn't work. You have to have these, like this group, this like little things, like you said, if you'd taken swings and made Lister a regional and you'd done, I do like this cat change. I know a lot of people online were like, female cat. And I'm like, yes. You do take a little, part of the fun is all these dudes are trapped alone in space, but that cat is so, like, I got the impression of like, it doesn't matter if he thinks she's hot, he's afraid of her.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you could obviously seeing it set up a bit of will they, won't they, which if we were watching the show, be like, oh my God, why add that to it? Just have the guy, you know what
exactly.
I mean? Yeah. Interesting little nugget of Red Dwarf history.
I will not watch it again. It was bloody awful, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I might watch it again at some point if I can find that. I feel like there's still one more version.
It's really made me appreciate the UK version even more.
Well, yeah, and you can't. I mean, again, they got so lucky with the team that they put together and who they hired.
100%.
And look, there was probably good money, but they didn't want to commit to a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks too, right? You like do these pilots, you sign a 5-year contract, and there's like the things that can happen are, one, you got your hopes up and it never happens. 2, you get in it, it gets canceled after a year. You don't get 5 years of money, you get 1. Or it's a hit, and in 5 seasons they cancel you because now that it's a hit, they don't want to pay you the extra money to renew it like they did for Friends and stuff afterwards.
But then the argument is, if you end up doing a US pilot and it's got Robert Llewellyn and Danny John Jules and Chris Barry, it's like, wwhy even bother at that point?
Yeah,
it's literally
now, in
just
some weird
Red
way,
Dwarf.
You actually could do the standard American as the slob. I like that.
In a British crew.
I'm not saying it would have worked, but at least then you're like, oh, okay, well, you could, I could kind of see it.
So you have the American slob and the rest of the crew are British. That would work.
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's like the reverse, where in Star Wars the British are all evil.
Yeah,
and the good guys
that
are
makes
Americans.
sense.
Yeah, I could see it because, and if the fact they asked them lets you know that they were like, these characters are these guys. Cat was nothing, and Danny John Jules made it something.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't see anybody, and this has just proved, like, if you're trying to do a copycat, it just proved how good Danny John Jules is as Cat.
Yeah, even though when we say in the first couple of series, gosh, he just doesn't get to do a lot.
He doesn't, but he's still good at what he does. That's the difference.
He just nails it, And you don't want to ask the guy to do like a copy version. Although, to be fair, it's not like he got the opportunity to. He literally just stood up on a thing and his scene was over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't really
nope.
have an opportunity to do anything.
Nothing really. Yeah. No, I thought it was awful.
What a weird experience.
I'm glad you suggested doing it, but oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah. No, I am too. Like, it was fun. I am too, especially to watch version 2. Because I thought I knew it was a female cat and stuff. I'm like, am I going to hate this more? And going, oh, weird. I actually like this better.
Yeah.
It's more interesting because it's different.
Because it's different. That was the problem. They tried to do the original pilot too similar.
Yeah. And when you see the little scene of Marooned, I'm like, yeah, it would be smarter to show. But again, if you're an executive spending money, this is going to be a hard 22 episodes, man.
Yeah, it really is.
Like if it were, and nowadays, the reason you could pitch this to Apple TV or whomever is they would look at it like, hey, we could do a 4, 6, 8 episode series.
Yes,
cool.
Because now that's what we're doing. Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, in 1992, there was no chance. Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy Murderbot?
Loved it.
Yeah, I did. I love the book and love the show.
Tracy wasn't bothered. I was like, oh, we'll put this on because Blake, she's like, I don't really know what it is, but all right. And after 3 episodes, she was like, oh my God, I am absolutely loving this.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's good it wasn't what I was expecting, but yeah, it was cool. And she's even starting to look up the books now as well because she wants to read them. So
with the main cast getting older, would you be excited if you heard? And I'll use Apple TV is a good example because generally Apple TV, whether the show sticks around or not, they do kind of throw some money at it, and they try to do something. They don't cheap out on it. Apple's got some money. If you heard an announcement on Apple TV, a new Red Dwarf, it's starting over. Would that be exciting to you?
So after having had this conversation, my excitement would ride on purely probably on the casting.
Or if it was like the team that brought you Murderbot now brings you Red Dwarf. So,
to me, it's purely casting, and this has completely proved it to me. If you get the casting right, the rest will fall into place. And that's the one thing that the UK series has over this US pilot is just that casting, that chemistry is whether that was just pure luck or what, but it's like everyone nails their character. Yes, there's some growth and there's some progression as you move through it, but from episode 1, each character is their character immediately. And the chemistry's there immediately. You can see between Lister and Rimmer. And then when Kat turns up and Holly, it's all there from day one, just honed as it goes through. So yeah, it would purely come down to the casting. As long as the casting was right, yes, I would be excited.
Well, and I'll give you a Steven Spielberg quote. If you value him as a director, casting sometimes is fate and destiny more than skill and talent from a director's point of view. And he said, if I get the casting right, 90% of the job is done for me.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's obvious because as we've said, it was good, but you could tell when the writers started getting used to working with this cast, like, oh man, and they were writing stuff for them.
It's like if you look at someone like Quentin Tarantino, he writes all his parts for specific people, and it comes across that everyone in his movies is amazing. You could argue that most of the actors in his movies, their best roles have been those roles in his movies. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Or Samuel Jackson was a thing, but man, he hit hard after that. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like Christoph Waltz. Look at Christoph Waltz. He has not been as good in anything else I've seen him in as he is as Hans Lander in Inglourious Bastards and King Schultz in Django Unchained.
Yeah.
He has not been as good as either of those two roles in anything else.
He was good in Muppets. Wasn't he in Muppets? I feel like he was in Muppets.
Isn't he in the next? I'm pretty sure he's in the next series of Only Murders in the Building, if I'm correct.
Oh, yes.
So that will be interesting to see.
But yeah, this was delightful from just a
discussion point of view.
Yeah, I was so excited to talk about it. I'm glad that I decided to switch my viewing to I'm going to write down what I have positively to say about it.
Yeah, I didn't go entirely negative. There was definitely some things in there that made me laugh.
There was some rough. It had a rough draft quality to it. But as you said, this show would have been canceled, not made it that long. I just think off the casting alone.
Yeah, there's no chemistry there for me at all.
But it was weird to see the second pilot where they barely did anything with it. but there was more chemistry between Rimmer and Kat and
All of
Craig
them, yeah.
Barrico,
Lister and-
if
yeah.
that's how you say his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, things that could have been. But
I think we've been saved something. I did not rate them, by the way, in case you're going to ask me that question.
I was gonna. I thought, no, that doesn't make sense because we're kind of rating in.
No, because it's a 0. There's a 1.
Yeah,
I'll give
yeah.
it a 1 for a couple of the jokes that were in there.
I'm kinder than that because I realize the struggle of what they're trying to do, and at the end of the day, someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, we'll pay some money to make a pilot." Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. Of course, you're like, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Well,
you
to
know,
be
like,
fair, they didn't, did they? Because originally Linwood Boomer wrote it, and then they were asked to come in and tweak it, and they hated the script for it.
see, isn't that interesting? Can you imagine what it would have been if they did it first? So you're curious to know, what were they involved in actually?
Yeah.
Was it just rewrites or, you know?
Interesting. We will never find out, so it's a moot point, really.
What does Craig Charles dub the second U.S. pilot? Oh, White Dwarf, because
Yes.
it didn't feature any black actors. That's hysterical. Well, that is true. Okay. Oh, hey, you know what? That's a really good point.
It's technically
So
not true because the black... Oh, the second pilot. Yes, sorry.
The second pilot. That's what I mean. Like, and that's, you know, that's true. I think I read that somewhere and I forgot to say something there. Was they had better chemistry, but there was no person of color at all on that show. White Dwarf. Damn it. That's funny, Craig Charles. That's very good. The pilot was briefly featured on the best TV shows that never were.
That's
the first time any
hilarious.
portion of the pilot was broadcast on public television. Oh, interesting.
To see what the other ones were, if that was one of the best.
And then you had, okay, yes. Oh, we didn't. Did we actually say the names of the actors?
Yeah.
Terry Farrell.
Oh, not
was
for the
cat?
second one. No, yeah.
For the second one, and Anthony Fusco stepped in as Arnold Rimmer.
Yeah. No, I don't know either of them too.
Oh, that's how I knew the cat. She was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
There we go. I'm like, she was familiar looking to me. Man, it was interesting. I didn't need to drink through it like I thought I was going to, but I'm glad I grabbed a beer to talk through it with you.
I'm glad we're recording another episode because I need to cleanse my palate, that's for sure.
Well, can't wait to talk about the next one. I had an interesting experience with that as well. Man, I wish we knew we had more stuff like this to do bonus episodes with, but we'll have to figure out what to do because this was fun.
Okay.
I like this. That will bring us to the end of this podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram at Dwarf Memory, and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for all show updates.
Yes, please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments at dwarfmemory@gmail.com. We've been getting a few more in recently. It was good.
The next episode we'll be discussing will be the first episode of Series 7, which is episode 1, Ticket to Ride. So make sure to watch before you join us for the next episode.